All right, we're going to get started. Good morning, everybody. Just a reminder that the back of my head is getting increasingly famous because we're streaming the meetings. So we are online at our Facebook page. And we are so pleased this morning that thanks to a late-breaking government opening, or staying open, we were able to be joined by our newest congressman, Congressman David Trone. So, Congressman, if you want to speak for a bit, and then we'll do some Q&A, and then I'll let you get back to your real job. Thanks for coming.
Okay, great. Mark, thank you. Senator Zucker, thank you, and for having us here today. I wanted to do three things if we could. First of all, give you a quick update on what I'm up to. Second of all, see how I can be of assistance with all the work you guys are doing here in Annapolis. And third piece is take back what's important for the constituents that you're hearing to effectuate change in Washington. Those are the three things I'm focused on today. So first of all, as you read, the good news is we're back in business. It's unfortunate when we had to go out of business for 35 days to get back in business again. But it certainly passed last night. Around 9 o'clock, we took the final vote, and went pretty well bipartisan. We had over 300 votes. Of course, the Senate was overwhelmingly bipartisan. So we're back up and running. I know you had Chris in and Ben not too long ago, and we expect the President to declare a national emergency. We'll file a resolution against him, and we'll be in court. And he's trying to pick up an extra $606 billion on top of the 1.375, that we allocated, for barriers and fencing. So I think we can expect a protracted battle as he tries to take money from one area in the budgets that are already been appropriated and put in different areas. But I think the party made a real strong statement that we support border security, and there's a lot of thoughtful ways we can do border security, and a wall was not that way. And they had walls in China in 700 BC that didn't work too well there. They had walls in Berlin in 61 that didn't work too well there either. High technology, stop the flow of drugs, etc., was the right step, and more infrastructure improvements. And of course, as you might know, there's 3,000 jobs open at the border they haven't filled that were appropriated a year ago. So unless we fill those jobs, the team on the border can't do their job. So that's up and running. We passed a bunch of bills, which we helped co-sponsor. And I saw you guys are working on a bill also on unemployment, which is great. We co-sponsored a bill to, one, give federal workers a raise, because they never get a raise. So I think that's very important. So that, we'll see how that goes through. Second one we co-sponsored, obviously the back pay, but also back pay for the contractors, all the low-wage contractors who are completely left out. We co-sponsored that bill. Another bill for interest-free loans to folks that were out, the ability to collect unemployment, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of different things in that area we've been involved in. My biggest thing, which I want to talk about today, was how we can connect local government, state government, and the federal government. We talk about that in the campaign all the time. We've all got the same constituents, or I call them customers. We're all in the exact same boat. So what I want to do is talk about, and knowing my interest and things that I've got focus on, how I can be of assistance. And maybe it's just a bully pulpit coming down, maybe it's testifying at a hearing, whatever it might be, lending expertise to help on things that you folks are trying to drive here in Annapolis, or folks are trying to do locally. So on the local level, we've already been out and met with Mark Elrich up in Montgomery County and talked about what Mark's up to, his agenda. We had a long meeting, so we want to be assistants there. We did the same thing with Jan Gardner and Frederick, and we have meetings set up to work in Washington, Allegheny, and Garrett County on the local level. We met with the federal delegation a couple weeks ago, and we're going to meet them with the Washington, Allegheny, Garrett delegations, and we're interested in talking to everybody, Republicans and Democrats, everybody's constituents. We very, very much want to work bipartisan whenever we possibly can. So that's important, that connectivity. Committees, I've asked Nancy Pelosi to focus on education and labor, so I'm on that committee. I'm very pleased. So many, and as you know, if not all of our problems that we have, if we address education and we begin to get that right, invest in our teachers, invest in our children, we're going to do better, and we're going to fix so many opportunities. The other committee is Foreign Affairs. So I'm on the Middle East and Terrorism Subcommittee in Foreign Affairs with Ted Deutsch, and also on the Western Europe and Russia Foreign Affairs Committee. So that's been very positive. We just passed a bill the other day on Sudan, actually Yemen. That was Yemen. It's a trip to Sudan this weekend, which I'm passing on. But Yemen, we passed a bill there. As you know, almost 100,000 folks have starved. 22 more million people are in the midst of starving. It's an absolute disaster. So that bill will end all assistance from the U.S. to Saudi Arabia on intelligence sharing. The refueling we've already stopped, and all the parts and spare stuff that we do to service the planes, which are our planes, that we sold to them, to eliminate that. So we're taking a very hard stand on the humanitarian crisis there. As far as other areas, those are the two major committees. I'm also on the budgetary committee, which will be a bicameral body. We just got appointed to that this week. So we can take a look at the budget from the 30,000 feet and see if we're moving in a good direction. Hopefully we'll do a little better next year. Maybe they'll pass it on time. That would be a pleasure. So that's an update from DC. Any questions about shutdown areas we're focusing on?
Questions, anyone?
So the most important area that we're focused on legislation is opioids. So as everybody in this room knows, 72,000 people died last year. It's a catastrophe. We formed a freshman working group. We've got close to 40 freshmen on the team. We're working with Elijah Cummings, Elizabeth Warren on their act, the CARE Act, and can we get that through? If not, is there a plan B? And we're looking at very, very all-encompassing legislation that's very long-term focused. This disaster didn't happen overnight. It began around 95 with OxyContin. It's going downhill. So we've got to figure out a long-term solutions. It's going to take billions and billions of dollars. We're getting very strong support by Republicans, and we're looking for support in the Senate. I think we're going to find that. We got some real good contacts out there. This is a bill that can be done bipartisan, and it can get done. Second bill we're trying to work on is criminal justice. Again, it's bipartisan. I've been a member of the ACLU for 20-some years, and last year we passed the First Step Act, which was a first step, no more, but it's a start. So now we've got to work on all the other things out there: bail reform, fine reform, what we should be doing for sealing records, so people can actually go out and get a job, education in prisons, which has been stripped out completely, and then we wonder why we have a recidivism rate of 75%, in 5 years. We don't have to wonder. And we know it's just because everybody in Washington thought short term. They thought about what was expeditious today, what was easy, what was cheap, and what's easy and what's cheap is, in my belief, never the right answer. The right answer is going to be what's the right thing to do where you can help people create a better life. And that's going to take long-term investment, thinking forward, paying it forward, and the $80 billion we're spending in prisons, so much of that should go to education. And if we drove that education 0 to 4, pre-K, community college, technical school, etc., we could begin to alleviate the problem we have where 1 in 3 young black men are going to be in jail. It's insane. It's just so wrong. It makes everybody's head spin in this room. So we've had a couple meetings already with District 15. Some of you in the room talked about criminal justice there and what things can we do with our contacts at ECLU to help anything you guys are doing here on criminal justice. That's something we're very, very interested in. And we're working in conjunction with the NAACP and the ACLU. We're probably not going to be able to get a large bill passed because Congress kind of checks the box. They passed a bill last year, which they considered large. I would consider it more of a first step, just what it was. But folks like Hakeem Jeffries has been a great leader on this. You know, we believe there's a bunch of smaller bills we can do in the meantime, and then tee up a larger bill in 2020 when we're in a better position in the Senate and we have total cooperation, perhaps in the White House, hopefully. So that's the third piece we're working on is medical research. Again, the NIH budget's been cut 23% in real dollars in the last 12 years. Why should we be spending less and less on research when there's so much great technology out there right now? So it makes no sense. But again, that should be bipartisan. So we're working in that area. And all three of these areas, we're making good, steady progress. I'm a policy-focused guy. I'm not looking for headlines. We have different folks in Congress. Some want to be in the headlines. Some just want to get stuff done. And I'm afraid I would fall in the second category. But that's why we're here. That's why you guys are here. That's why I'm here. So, second point is, ideas that we can do. We're available. We're available to do anything you want us to do. Come down, testify, connect you with groups that could be helpful to legislation you're working on. But we want to be a true partner of Annapolis, and I think it's a mistake when local government stays in Rockville, and the state government stays in Annapolis, and the federal government stays in Washington. So we should be communicating, working as a team, and if we can work as a team, I'm volunteering to be part of that team. I know Jamie feels the same way, and between the two of us, we cover a little bit of work with John Sarbanes, but we cover Montgomery County, and it's in the interest of your constituents. They're our constituents, so we want to be there to help. So I'd love to hear if you have any ideas, things that you guys are focused on here in Annapolis, that we could be of assistance. Everybody needs more coffee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the issues the state is working on, particularly the State Department of Transportation, is plans for the Beltway 270 BW Parkway. I was wondering, has our congressional delegation been talking with the State Department of Transportation and working on these plans?
Yeah, I have not. I don't think Jamie has either. We all would agree the need for roads and transit. Both of those are imperative. We know we got to get it done. What the right answer is, I don't know. I'm not into the weeds on understanding 2 lanes reversible, 4 lanes, time studies, et cetera, et cetera. So the answer is no, Jim.
And at this point, we still don't know exactly where the Department of Transportation is headed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Barber.
Yes, Congressman, good to see you. Just to put it on the record, my constituents in Rockville and Gaithersburg oppose widening the footprint of I-270. They support transit, and to put this on your radar screen there's a group, a team of business people actively working right now on a monorail proposal that would link Frederick to Gaithersburg to Rockville to Bethesda using existing rights of way. So there will be no need to purchase additional roads. Presentation's been made to the mayors of Frederick, Gaithersburg, and Rockville. It's been very favorably received by them. A presentation is going to be made to Jan Gardner and Mark Elrich and several of us in the delegation, not all of us, it's a couple of us in the Environment and Transportation Committee have been made aware of this. So I just wanted to put that on your radar screen because that would serve a large chunk of your constituents.
That's an interesting idea. I mean, that's the kind of ideas we need. We need out of the box, groundbreaking ideas. We can't just keep going the same old. So I think that's cool. I think that's great to consider and pencil it out and see how something like that could work. It's fantastic. We're thinking out of the box.
Other questions?
Now, the other piece I want to talk about, Mark, is just what things do you hear from your constituents that Jamie and I should be more laser focused on than we are. And I admit that we've been overwhelmed with the shutdown for the last, forever, but that's behind us now. We're done. So, I mean, what are you hearing? I mean, we're hearing opioids nonstop. We certainly, go ahead.
Kelly?
The district that I work with, several services districts, can be very diverse district. So you asked, and I'll tell you, it's traffic. And they also really are interested in talking more about traffic. And then talking about that, they'd like to talk about the traffic. Just so you know.
What about the deer?
Yeah, there's deer also. Big deer problem. And that's usually how to do with traffic.
Traffic, and more traffic, and more traffic. I'm with you. We all sit in quite a bit. It's unbelievable.
Kelly Collison?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning and congratulations. Good to see you here. So the thing that I hear a lot about is the cost of pharmaceuticals. And, we're trying to deal with it here at the state level, but it would be very helpful if the federal level could begin to look at that in a real way. I mean, there are other countries that have models that do it differently. Become aware of the complex pricing of drugs in the U.S. So if there's something, I understand the constraints we have under the current administration, but I like the concept of, building a foundation steps towards, meeting this goal. So if there's a way for the federal government and our congressional district and congressional representatives to really hone in on that.
You're with the choir on that one. I mean, it's mind-boggling. We've had meeting after meeting the same exact point, and it's $4 billion in the last decade the pharmaceutical industry has spent on lobbying Congress. I mean, they're number one. You think about the NRA, they're number 8. It's pharma. It's big pharma. I mean, I don't take, PAC money, lobbyist money, we never will, and it's a corrosive disaster. It's an embarrassment, our pricing.
Any other questions or comments? Congressman, thank you again for joining us. I'm glad the timing of this worked out so well.
No, thank you very much for the short notice. We appreciate it. And but our office is open. We want to come back and sit with you once in a while and say, hey, how do we help? That's what we're here for. We're here to be of assistance for our constituents, and we can't do it sitting in isolation on the Hill. That's a loser, bad strategy. So we're here to listen. We're here to learn, and we really appreciate all the things that happen in Annapolis. And as someone in this room always tells me, all the action at the state government level, and frankly, I think that's correct. Might have been, Brian.
Let's bring up our friends from Visit Montgomery. I think we have Corey Van Horn, the Director of Marketing, for a brief discussion. I believe it's Tourism Day here in Annapolis. So.
Good morning. As you mentioned, I'm Corey Van Horn, Director of Marketing for Visit Montgomery. We are the destination marketing organization for Montgomery County. I'm here with Katie Doherty. She is a member of our board of directors, and Danielle Nations, who is on our team as our partnership manager. As we mentioned, Tourism Day is today, and so we're here representing tourism as economic driver for the state of Maryland, and also here to bring awareness to tourism with Montgomery County. Montgomery County, as I mentioned, is a destination marketing organization for Montgomery County. Our mission is to market and develop the county and the communities and as a preferred destination for groups, individual travel, thereby fostering economic growth and the quality of place through tourism. Our marketing efforts and sales efforts are targeted both on a regional, national, and international level. We work closely with and collaboratively with the Maryland Office of Tourism. Their support at the state level is important in helping us amplify the tourism offerings that we have here in Montgomery County. In terms of tourism and visitation for the county, in 2017, we had $1.89 billion in visitor spending. 3.7 million were overnight visitors, and 3.5 million were day trip visitors. That was an increase of 3.5% over the prior year. Visit Montgomery was celebrated their 35th year in 2018, and as a part of that celebration, we partnered with Bethesda-based StreetSense. They're a marketing agency, advertising agency, to help complete a research project for us, develop new messaging and positioning of the county as a tourism destination, compile a new brand notion, and receive information from our industry stakeholders, and launch a new creative campaign and logo. And I can say, as the Director of Marketing, we're thrilled that it continues to thrive and evolve and bring visitors to the county. This year our focus is to really bring the message of the county, the story, tell the true story of what the county has to offer, both as a day trip destination, but also as a weekend getaway and business traveler destination. Areas that we hope to focus on and continue to focus on is our campaign this year is Your Weekend, Your Way. And the idea is to bring the visitation to the weekend and promote the county as a weekend destination. Also highlight attractions such as the Glenstone Museum and their new expansion, new development Pike and Rose, our vibrant arts and cultural community, our outdoor active travel assets that we have, our world-class performance venues such as Strathmore and Fillmore and Olney Theater, and our growing brewery and winery industry, and our true crown jewel, and that is our 93,000-acre ag reserve. We host travel writers and meeting planners and event planners throughout the year, and we feel that that is one of our strongest ways in which to sell and promote the county, to bring these people to the county and to see firsthand what they have to offer. A few of the upcoming groups that we have coming are 9 travel and lifestyle writers from China who will be coming in March to tour the county. A group of meeting planners in March also from an organization called Homes Briscoe. They do meeting planning services. 8 United Airlines travel agents from Germany will be coming in May to visit the county, and a group and tour planner conference will be doing a fan tour early in the spring as well. Throughout the remainder of the day, we'll be visiting our offices and we'll be sharing additional information and a wonderful bag of candy, so please enjoy. And I just wanted to share on behalf of Montgomery County, on behalf of Visit Montgomery, thank you for your continued support in our community, our tourism industry, and we appreciate it.
Thanks, Mr. Hurst. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just an observation, I guess, I would make. Several years ago, my wife and I started heading down to Virginia for the wine trail out there, and in the years since, it seems like that's really boomed. But they had a lot of tourism department related programs that were really, I hate to be promoting alcohol, but it seems like in a suburban, sort of sleepy suburban county like Montgomery, our food and wine would be a very strong tourism asset. We have any things like that going on? Virginia has like maps and ask for some stamps and free stuff if you went to multiple spots, and we'll soon have 3 breweries in downtown Silver Spring, all within a very reasonable walk from each other.
Yes, absolutely. That's actually a key initiative that we have this year in development. To be honest with you, it's a passion project of mine. I come from the tourism development background in food and culinary tourism. So, to your point, the Silver Spring area is a perfect opportunity for beverage tourism. The same thing with the Ag Reserve as well. So we are in development with that.
Delegation?
I'm quite familiar with your work, and thank you for taking this important step to rebrand. Call it Visit Montgomery and have the new logo. I think it is definitely a move in the right direction, not brand ourselves as the venue to Washington DC. I also think it's time to change gateway to whatever. We are a destination, and we should brand ourselves as a destination. So anything you can do in that regard, I hope to. I am glad to see you stepping up to capitalize and cashing on the global tourism, mostly from Asia, which will probably be 80% of the global population. But if you could connect the tourism with some investment opportunities, connecting with economic development opportunities, that would be even better. So we can work on that together.
Absolutely. As a part of our new rebranding, our new tagline is "Close for Comfort," and that came out of the research and where potential visitors said that we were a comfortable alternative to staying in DC, and also running ourselves as a destination in our own right. And in terms of working closely with economic development, my counterpart on the economic development side, we're collaborating on a video that we can work on, that we are working on together and hope to get out this spring.
Better to say smarter.
Absolutely.
Delegate Solomon?
I know it was mentioned in the paper, and I don't know if you can comment on it or if it's going anywhere, but with the closure of the museum in DC, there was talk about potentially trying to recruit from the Montgomery County. Is there anything in the works on that, or talks with them?
We are working with the Economic Development Office and CEDC. They're the group that's taking the lead on it. It's our understanding that at this point they have to, they are in talks, but they have to keep the information close. And we would certainly love to have that in the county.
Great, thank you again for joining us. We'll now move on to our friends from the school board, the president of the school board, Deborah Evans, and the vice president, District 16's Pat O'Neill. And shout out to Daniel Suskin, who's our liaison with the school board, who's doing a great job. So we'll put it up to you all. If you could use the mic, that would be much appreciated.
Thank you. Good morning. It's so great to be here and see all the friendly faces from Montgomery County. We just really wanted to come and talk about what we view as what's important to Montgomery County. We have definitely appreciated the relationship that we've been able to maintain with the delegation, and we believe that that's partly due to our collaborative efforts and just having the lines of communication to be continuously open to make certain that we're providing a quality education for all of our students in Montgomery County. So I'll just kind of start, I'll talk briefly about 5 points that the board and the superintendent felt like it was important for you all to know and just really understand our needs and our positions in certain areas. The topics will be early learning, Pearl Commission, English learners, our Equal Opportunity Schools Initiative, as well as 2 legislative bills. So a few weeks ago, you received some information from Montgomery Moving Forward. They have done some work with the Children's Funding Project to really kind of look at the inadequate funding that we've been receiving around early education. And so what they were able to get from their research is that overall, there's about $751 plus million that's going to early education. In Montgomery County, that's about $620 million, and that's largely being invested by our parents. 82% of the parents in Montgomery County are investing in early education, and that's with very little tuition assistance. And these are families that are coming from low to middle income brackets. where they find it a little bit difficult to be able to not only live in Montgomery County, but to be able to raise children. And so what we're seeing is that the money that the parents are investing in early education is really only going to direct services provisions, and it's not going towards expanding the programs and developing the programs. So it really ties and is in line with the current commission. And so we support the current commission, and we believe that there should be current funding formulas. We support investing in early education. We support having our high schoolers move towards the 10th grade with the college and career readiness, as well as having robust pathways for our students in the career area. We are totally on board with our teachers, professionalizing and incentivizing the teacher pathway, but we do not want to allow the state to incentivize pre-K in Montgomery County, because that creates more barriers for our families. We really do not want to have unfunded mandates. We don't know what the cost will be for implementation. We believe there will be increased costs that we don't know how that will be paid. We want to maintain our local control to make certain that we're in control of the policies, the programs that are being implemented in Montgomery County. So then I'll just go on to our English language learners. Out of our 162,000 plus students, 18% are English learners. And if you take a look at the Maryland State Report Card, 26.5% are proficient in math, 22.2% are proficient in English, 40.7% of our English learners are graduating in 4 years, and 53.2% are graduating in 5 years. The current commission recommendations for English learners, the work group assumed that most EL students are also qualifying for compensatory education funding. The compensatory education weight will provide academic and social emotional supports. MCPS strongly disagrees with this assumption. In MCPS, only 26% of our elementary students are on free and reduced price meals. So the commission is concerned that changing at the federal level related to immigration status of documented and undocumented students will result in an undercounting of students for compensatory education purposes. The commission recommends adjusting the EL weight to ensure that students who would otherwise qualify for compensatory education would receive the resources they need to be successful. This will be done by incorporating the cost of providing the same instructional and interventional support, social and emotional support from counselors and social workers in extended learning time. But we are, what we would like, and also what it's saying that it would require a competent adjustment for calculating the compensatory education formula, such as the compensatory education weight would only be applied to students who are not English learners. So this presupposes that the interventions and support needed are for the same language acquisition and academic support, and this is not the case in Montgomery County. So going on to our equal opportunity schools. So what we're trying to do is make certain that students that are typically underrepresented in our advanced placement classes, in our international baccalaureate courses, that we are identifying them more upfront, that we are staying with them, monitoring their progress. And what we're doing is we are providing more supports to our teachers, providing them with professional development in the summer, as well as really utilizing our counselors to make certain that they are identifying the students that could actually be a part of the advanced placement programs and the IB programs. And what we've seen last year is that out of the 6,000 plus students that actually participated in advanced and IB courses, that 4,429 students are typically underrepresented and not involved in those courses. So we're very happy about that initiative that we're doing in Montgomery County. And then just wanted to go on to our legislative bills. So I don't have the bills memorized by heart, but for the calendar bills, it's House Bill 53 and Senate Bill 131. This bill will allow the school year to be extended by 5 days after June 15th. And it clarifies that it's an option to allow local schools without state board conditions. So MCPS offered an amendment to change from end rather than extend by 5 days. And this way it will allow us to really work with our calendar those 5 days in advance. In House Bill 437 and Senate Bill 128, This bill would repeal the executive order from 2016 that stated that all school systems must begin after Labor Day and end by June 15th. And then the current legislation bill. So our concerns is how it will be funded. Like that still remains a concern for us. There's a recommendation to promulgate a bill to give teachers a 3% raise next year, and half of that will be funded by the state and the other half by the county. So Montgomery County, if we had to give teachers raises, it would cost us about $20 million. If we had to give all three of our unions, that includes our principals, our SEIU, and supporting staff, that would cost us about $30 million. So we just really want you to keep a watchful eye out on the things that we mentioned and just really work with us. And if you have any questions, I also have my colleague, Vice President Pat O'Neill, here to address your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. It's great to see you. So we've been hearing as the Kerwin report is being issued and as conversations have gone on down here about the Kerwin Commission recommendations, a lot of squawking from county officials. Not school board officials, but county officials who complain repeatedly that educating our children is too expensive. In fact, the two NACO representatives on the Kerwin Commission refused to sign the final report, including one from Montgomery County, because the report did not lay out every single detail about what counties would be asked to do. And as you know, education is the only policy area that we are required to provide for in the state constitution. So given that, I wonder if it's not time for us to, have some conversations about whether it might make sense to give school boards taxing authority, as they have in so many other states, if our county officials aren't willing to do what's necessary to fund our schools. So I'm curious whether the Montgomery County Board has given any thought to that. It would be possible to do it in a relatively sort of immediately tax neutral way, by reducing the county's authority to tax and increasing it for the school board, sort of creating it. So is that something that the county board has given any thought to?
I'm going to answer that as, I've been on the Montgomery County Board 20 years, and during those 20 years I also served as president of the Maryland Association of Boards of Education, and in that role I interacted with state presidents and local board members from across the country. And I have to answer it, we have never had that discussion. In my fantasy world, I thought if only I could have bonding or taxing authority, it would help to solve our construction crisis if we could levy bonds. But I have to say, having interacted with board members from across the country that do have that ability, they spend all of their time out in the community trying to get bonds issued. We no doubt about it, education is expensive, but children are the future citizens and taxpayers of the county, of the state, of the nation, and we have been underfunded over time. But I think it would require some research. I know, Pennsylvania with the over 600 districts, school boards do have the ability to issue bonds, levy taxes. It is not a perfect situation.
Sure, there's no perfect situation, but I'm curious just in Montgomery County's case, because you served a very long time on the board. And I recall when I was first teaching that the school system received approximately 60% of the total county budget. Do you have any sense of what that is now? Where are we at in terms of percentage of the total county budget going to our schools?
About 51%.
So it's dropped 10% in 20 years.
And in the construction of the bonds levy, we are not at the 50%. I don't know on the county, like school health room, the nurses, the crossing guards do not come in our budget. So if you add that in on top, as a total commitment from the county, do move up, but not all of that is in our budget.
Sure, but that wasn't part of the school system budget 20 years ago either.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Other questions or comments? Delegate Shakudia.
Mr. Chair. I was just wondering if you might comment a little bit on some of the great progress being made in restorative practices in Montgomery County, and to some extent in the state, there's a couple other counties doing really well. And then I know Danielle and I have been in conversation about it, hoping to have support, even if it's a little amendment on a bill to basically take NSDE guidelines, or NSDE guidelines, the Department of Education guidelines, current administration, Obama administration, current education guidelines to really support increasing use of research practices over institutions. If you want to comment in general on what Montgomery County's been doing and specifically on that issue.
Sure. So we have been able to receive or awarded a grant for $2 million to be able to do that work on restorative practices. I believe Dr. Michelle Rubin was successful in getting that contract. And so for our schools that are not having our educators being trained in restorative practices, they're still doing some focused work with those schools. So we're making certain that our students are being able to take ownership of their actions, that they're aware of the damage that they've done to their peers, and they're working together to be able to resolve the issues and kind of be able to incorporate them back into the school system. We want to make certain that we're keeping our kids in school, and that our first thought is not to suspend, but to really work through those issues from the training that they're receiving. So we're getting great feedback from our administrators on the work that's taking place in our schools. Have you heard the number? Yes, about 85 schools that are currently doing that work.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Great. Well, thank you again for joining us this morning. Oh, sorry, Delegate Essenaro.
Always do last. Thank you, Madam President, Vice President, for coming out this morning. My question relates to curriculum in our public schools. And I guess what I'd like to know is if you both can just elaborate on your role in formulating the curriculum in our public schools. Because it's one thing to give our children a sound public education, but it's also important for us to give them a culturally competent, not sanitized version of an education as well. And so for me, what's important is understanding that each student, we have a diverse student population, that we not only have culturally competent teachers in the classroom, but the curriculum also represents that type of diversity. And so that's critical for me, at least. So I'm curious to know what role does our local Board of Education play vis-a-vis our state board of our Maryland State Department of Education, our curriculum, right? Are we ensuring that we're having an inclusive curriculum so that Black, Latinx, API students aren't necessarily getting this sanitized, whitewashed version of history, of what they should know to be really competent citizens, individuals, when they decide to go on to further disciplines? Can you all speak to that?
Sure. Actually, we just recently adopted a curriculum, and one of the things that we were most proud about is that we had a broad range of stakeholders take part in selecting the curriculum. We had parents, we had students, we had teachers, we had our administrators, and what we were able to make sure that we had in our curriculum is the cultural proficiency that you're talking about, that cultural awareness, being able to support our English learners, our special education students, as well as our highly able students. We were able to make certain that not only do we have digital materials, but that we had materials that kids can take home. There's a huge piece in there for parent support, so that our parents are able to help support our students as they're learning the work at school. So we were really happy that we were thinking about everybody as we purchased this new curriculum in language arts as well as in math.
So, I just want to, last question, I'm going a little bit further with it. I guess what I'm trying to find out is, so for instance, the Los Angeles school system are looking at now when it comes to their curriculum, this initiative called, sort of colonizing education, right? And that's particularly important for the diverse student body that we have to take care of. I guess my question is, as we are developing curriculum, are we ensuring that when it comes to history, social studies, other areas of humanity, that we're ensuring that we're decolonizing that curriculum, that we're providing really the students the kind of accurate, culturally competent education that they deserve, similar to what we're seeing in other school districts.
Well, in Maryland, the state board adopts the standards, in Maryland, it's the Common Core state standards. Local districts in Maryland adopt their own curriculum aligned to those standards. And I will say, you mentioned Los Angeles, the reading language arts that we just approved the contract and approved the curriculum on Tuesday is the same one that Los Angeles has adopted. It's Benchmarks, which is the English language arts elementary, and we have recently adopted the middle school and middle school written language arts and math. And you can actually go on our website and see. I think you would be impressed if you went through and actually looked at the curricular materials. But we did our own request for proposal, and being culturally competent is important. I'm proud to say that Maryland is not Texas. Texas has a state curriculum and adopts state textbooks. And that has California and Texas have sort of a tight control on the national curriculum and textbook market. So hence, when we went out looking for our own curriculum, cultural competency, recognizing we have a diverse student body, and seeing them is important. We did a request for proposal, and had numerous responders, but we had particular standards, and when you go and look at our website, you'll see there's a national sort of the consumer reports for curriculum. It's EveryView, and the curriculum that we have approved is highly rated.
Kelly.
Just wanted to close out a little follow-up on Delegate Asmera's comments. Wanted to thank you all for what you're doing. I know, like many of us, I have two kids in the school system, a daughter in high school and a son in 5th grade. And high school, I know. She was like this when I was first elected. But my son came home from 5th grade a few weeks ago. He comes home every day, but one day when he came home, which is good job number one. But when he came home, he said, Mommy, we're learning about social movements in school, and we have to do a report, and we got to pick from the civil rights movement, or the women's movement, or the labor movement, and you're disappointed, Mommy, because you wanted me to pick the women's movement, but I picked the labor movement, and wanted to give you props because
I just found my next intern.
Right? You guys are doing a really good job for these issues that we all care about. And I just want to commend you because, on a personal level and throughout my district in our county, I hear these news stories all the time. So I just wanted to make sure you've heard them too.
So thank you so much. So good to see you here, Deborah, as our school board president. I just wanted to make a comment that I've said in different spaces to different members of the board, nuts and bolts. I'd really like to see the board and you all provide us with information about our schools that is disaggregated by our districts so that we're able to look at how our schools in our particular districts are doing and faring against the entire county. That's information that we can provide ourselves, but given that you all have the tools and information, maybe a tad bit more staff than we need, that's just something that I would like to reiterate. You all are able to implement that and get that information to us. I think that would be really useful.
Sounds great. Thank you for putting in that request. We have our government affairs community outreach here in Susquehanna right behind us taking notes, and so we'll bring that back to our staff. We want you to be informed and know what the situation is. So absolutely.
Thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Delegate Kelly, you're going to have to get with Chair Kaiser and explain how fast kids grow.
I know.
So before we move to our voting session, we're really lucky. We're on our 4th Montgomery County parliamentarian in a row. So we're going to turn to Parliamentarian Resnick to have a little refresher on how voting works in our delegation here, just so everyone's on the same page, because we've had a little confusion, partially caused by me, on how we vote. So, Parliamentarian?
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And yes, I'm part of a very, very lucky club of former parliamentarians.
Procedure nerds.
Oh, procedure nerds. Yes, exactly. So just very
Slash
quickly-
future majority leaders? I mean, I think...
that does seem to be the trajectory. We have adopted some rules for the delegation. How we vote is not actually been adopted by the delegation. So if they're not part of our rules, we default to the House rules. And as you know, we vote yes or no, yay or nay, however, but there actually is no consideration for an abstention vote. You can vote excused if you have a personal financial conflict with the vote that is taking place, either because you will personally benefit as a regard to a job, or you will financially benefit dealing with the context of the bill. You can vote excused, but you cannot abstain from a vote because it's going to go to your committee or you're not sure how to vote. If you are in your seat, you have to vote, and you have to vote yes or no unless you vote excused. And if you do vote excused, you have to file the form. There is a form as to why you voted excused that is submitted to the Ethics Council and the Ethics Committee. You have to file that form if you do vote excused. So just something to remember moving forward. It's yay or nay. There are no abstentions. You should be in your seat when you vote. Take that hint as it is provided. I'm not going to go into more detail. And that's basically the rule that we have. So, are there any questions?
Just to clarify one point before we go to Chairman Barbe, if you vote excused on the bill, you should be consistent on the amendments as well.
Correct.
So, Chairman Barbe.
Yeah, I guess this comes up because I abstained on a vote on an issue where I didn't know how it was going to shake out in my committee. So I guess in the future I'll just vote no, since that's functional.
That's perfectly fine, and there's nothing stopping you. There is a long, tried and true tradition of politicians voting both yes and no on a particular bill, given the timing. So there is nothing wrong with voting no in delegation and then voting yes in committee because something's changed or your position is solidified, or vice versa. And it's a perfectly acceptable thing and perfectly easy to explain to constituents if they should happen to ask. Politics and legislating is a messy process. We're doing the best we can, but we do have to vote yes or no. So, Delegate Barbe, thank you for bringing that up, but you're obviously not the only one, and this is not the first time or first term that's happened. So we've all done it. It's not something we should be ashamed of, just something we should be aware of.
Anyone else? Delegate Moon.
Well, this is fascinating. This applies to every county delegation, I would guess.
Unless the county has adopted separate rules, yes. Not that I know that they have, and I can't speak for other counties, but if a county has specifically adopted separate rules and nobody in House leadership has objected to that, then that is different. But otherwise, yes, it should apply to every county.
Yeah, let me just clarify, if I may. Under the House rules, we are like a committee. And so committees can adopt their own voting procedures. Our procedures for the Montgomery County delegation, if we don't have a specific procedure, the House rules are what apply. That was actually a big part of our debate in the previous year. And so in this case, it's the House rules that apply. Delegate Paulson?
Since we're applying the House rules to how we vote, I would remind you or point out I believe an ethics committee reminder that you received recently that basically says if you are taking recusal or or excuse, you cannot participate in the discussion either. You are recusing yourself completely from that bill in all ways. So if you can't at the last minute, you can't engage in the discussion and then at the last minute say, oh, that's a conflict for me. So, that's a recent reminder that you received from the Ethics Committee.
Good reminder. Chairman Barker.
Yeah, and just for the record, I allow abstentions in my committee, and I've always served on committees where they were allowed.
Great. Well, maybe we can talk about adopting a rule in this committee. I know you love our rules. All right.
Everyone understood what I meant?
Sorry, kind of a silly question, because you said yay or nay. Sometimes yes, no. You don't mean it literally. Okay.
No, I don't mean it literally.
Okay.
Yay or nay, yes or no.
Aye or nay.
Green or red, however you want to
Okay, that's only in Washington.
Great. And if anyone has other specific questions that you want to discuss with the parliamentarian, maybe we can have those conversations. Let's move on to our actual business. We're slightly changing the posture on MC/PG 16-19. This is going to be considered as a late filed bill request, so we'll bring up the sponsor to explain why the bill is late. I think you just do it from here, the Vice Chair card. Oh, I'm sorry, House Bill 859. I'm taking that order. My mistake. We're changing the posture of House Bill 859.
Yeah, good morning. So this is House Bill 859. So what the ask is for the delegation to vote to accept the bill as late. So the question is, why is the bill late? This bill is a bill that I put in working with Park and Planning. Carol Rubin is an attorney for the Montgomery County Planning Board. She is their point person on the project to widen the Beltway. She has been sending me her laundry list of things in state law that could be fixed. Most of those items were statewide in nature, and they ended up in a bill sponsored by Delegate Solomon. The very last one she sent me happened to fall in the land use article, the part that concerns park and planning. I inadvertently didn't catch that and submitted it just like any other statewide bill. By the time I realized it was sort of too late to fix it. So my ask is that you accept it as a late file bill so that we can consider it through our delegation.
Any questions for Delegate Carr? Delegate Moon?
So the posture of the bill is this is a local bill now or a five-county bill?
So it was introduced as a bill sponsored by me and co-sponsored by a few others, but it could have, would have, should have been a bi-county bill. So by accepting it as late file, we can make it so.
Will be amended to be a late file bill. The struggles with late file bills are real. Any other questions? Great. All in favor of accepting HB 859 as amended to a local bill as late filed, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nay? All right, I need a second. I need a meeting in a second.
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm in favor. Like I said, the struggle is real. All right, let's move on. Delegate Wilkins, committee report.
All right, the Land Use, Transportation, and Public Safety Committee moved unfavorable on MCPG 106-19. We spent about 2 to 3 weeks discussing this legislation. Our concerns with it were that it seemed we were adding a new penalty of perjury that could put someone behind bars for 3 to 10 years. We were unclear about the precedent around land use documents on having these penalty of perjury clauses, and there's already a process in place to file grievances and for someone to have their license removed if they purposefully put in incorrect documents. So after spending some time discussing, we did move unfavorable on this. How was the vote? It was 5 to 1.
Is there a motion?
Move unfavorable. Second.
Any discussion? Okay, so just to be clear, if you vote yes on the unfavorable, you are voting against the bill, which is what the committee recommends. So all in favor of moving unfavorable on MC/PG 106-19, signify by saying aye, yay, yes.
Aye.
Keep your hands up so you can get recorded. Seven. Great. Thank you all. I think that's it for our committee reports, so we'll go right to the committee announcements. Delegate Kelly.
Okay, Economic Development has to meet again next week on Thursday, 9 a.m. Look forward to seeing you all there.
Delegate Queen.
No plans to meet, so we'll be, my committee.
Delegate Wilkins. Delegate Wilkins.
The Land Use Committee will continue our discussion on golf courses on Tuesday, immediately after session through 18. It seems we may have an additional bill potentially, or part of that, I don't know. But we have a golf course that we'll be discussing on Tuesday, so see you all there.
Delegate Wilkins. Oh, sorry, Delegate Clark. Thank you, Delegate Wilkins.
Yeah, so nothing scheduled for right now, but there might be some things scheduled soon. We may have some bi-county bills coming over from the Prince George's County Delegation, and we may also discuss House Bill 859 after that is heard in our delegation.
Mr. Chairman,
Delegate Wilkins.
Can I ask for clarification from Delegate Wilkins? In saying that a discussion on golf courses, is it about golf courses or physically at a golf course?
You guys doing a away trip to a golf course?
It could be, right, I was going to say, it could be both.
Delegate Kelly.
That's a good follow-up, but I thought Eric was going to ask my question, which was, and forgive me, it's, I'm tired all the time here, but I'm pretty sure I read in the President that this delegation approved that bill, which concerned me a little. Did anybody else read that?
I would say there were many things incorrect in that president's article. I did send some corrections to the author of the article. Delegate Stewart. Just remember, we're not debating this bill right now.
No, I know.
I just wanted clarification.
I was just going to say there were some changes made to the bill. They were inaccurately stated as to be. But if you have any questions about what was actually amended to the Country Club bill, come see myself or Delegate or Chair Wilkins.
The committee adopted an amendment, but it's really not going to It's really not going to be discussed now. We have 100% participation in the Sunshine Fund, so thank you. We need to return our purple folders to Sarah. Does anybody else have any comments for the good order? Stole that from Delegate Luke. All right, thank you all.